that this government has even compelled Reserve Bank of India to compromise. So that is the reason, every institution is compromised. Huge monies are at
So,
stake.
Dr. Parkala, you think that for this kind of a situation where India has reached right now, and also in the eyes of the people and the way the institutions have been compromised, who do you think is responsible? It just can't be one or two. The buck has to stop at the Prime Minister. So is he not solely responsible for what has happened to India?
Undoubtedly, Neelu. And in a recent interview to a Tamil channel, he also said that he was the one who introduced this scheme. He claimed the ownership.
Yes.
Not only that, I think in that interview, since we have broached that interview topic, I must say that in that interview, he also said that people who are opposing the electoral bonds will soon come to regret it.
Yes, he said that.
I'm just trying to understand what could he mean by that. Now, people who found fault with it or opposed it include the Supreme Court. Does it mean that the Supreme Court will come to regret it? The people who opposed and found fault with the electoral bonds include the judges on the bench. Does he mean that all these justices of the Supreme Court also will come to regret it? It includes people, it includes the Chief Justice of India. Does he mean that the Chief Justice of India will come to regret it soon? You and I are okay, okay. But then it's also an institution which is an
Absolutely.
independent judiciary. What does it mean? Now, is it that or is it that he's meaning that they will soon realize that there are very transparent, very good scheme, or is it that he is holding out a threat? Look, I will
So what is
see.
it according to you? Is he trying to threaten, or is he trying to just somehow justify that whatever I'm saying or I'm doing is absolutely correct?
Neelu, I smell a bit of a threat in it.
Okay. So you're saying that PM Modi is trying to threaten
I
and
mean,
threaten all the institutions?
it comes out of him that he's trying to say, look, you will you will come to regret this, what you've done. That is what I read into it. Otherwise, there is no reason for
What
him
is
to
your
say,
reading? He's trying.
because you see, it is Supreme Court decision. Any political leader so far, especially people who are occupying such high positions, would immediately say we duly respect the decision of the Supreme Court. That is the standard statement whenever a decision of the judiciary went against a particular party.
No, but
And
Dr. Parkula, are you saying that, according to what you have read, you are saying that you are reading some kind of a threat in what Modi is saying. So, am I to understand that he's trying to threaten indirectly, not in very clear terms, he's trying to threaten maybe the Supreme Court, he's trying to threaten the Chief Justice of India, he's trying to threaten all those activists who have raised questions on this electoral bonds?
that is how I understand it, Neelu. You know, if I were not to understand that way, I would have expected the Prime Minister to say, well, we respect although we did it with good intentions, but since the Supreme Court has held it this way, we respect the decision of the Supreme Court. Has even remotely has that sense come out of what he said so far on or whatever the ruling party other leaders have said so far on the electoral bonds and the decision by the Supreme Court? Nothing at all. So that is why I feel that they are in some way holding out a threat.
But to Dr. Parukala, I still recall what happened in 2004 and also in 2014 when media kept on questioning Dr. Manmohan Singh's government, all the scams, 2G, Adarsh, Commonwealth, whole lot of scams were there. Media was very, very vocal at that point of time. And it is the same media which is very, very silent now. So is this confidence, or rather, if I may call this hubris, which Prime Minister Narendra Modi wears, is this because of a pliant media which is ready to prostrate before the government, before the prime minister, and which is why he's very confident, because there will be no media trial. And is confidence coming out of that?
His confidence is one that there's nobody to question, and he feels that he is not accountable, he is not answerable to anybody, and probably they also feel, the prime minister and the entire establishment of the ruling party, they feel that they're all under our control. They cannot ask any question which we do not really allow them to ask. This is one. The second thing, Neelu, is this. When prices are so high, employment is so high, rural distress is so high, and most of the promises that were made in 2014 and 2019 were not honored, and there were so many deaths during COVID, during the pandemic, and there's a very, very clear mismanagement of the entire thing. And when Chinese are sitting on a huge chunk of India's land, when all these things are there in the public domain, still the ruling party has been winning election after election, especially in places like UP. Now, that also gives them the sense of hubris, that sense of overconfidence, that look, whatever we do,
We will
we are,
win.
we are not being punished.
Right. But you think that the scenario is the same for 2024, Dr. Parkala? The kind of confidence which Prime Minister still is oozing. He goes to rallies, and then, he makes all sorts of remarks. There's election commission, which is almost silent. It doesn't question him at all. And as what you said, that people are not ready to question him. And that is where this problem comes from. But how different will be the things on the ground for Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP in 2024? Elections are just about to begin. They are claiming that they will get 400 plus seats.
Let me talk about the 400 plus seats for the NDA alliance and 370 plus or 370 for the BJP. Now, it's a very interesting ploy, Neelu. Had they not said that, the debate would have been whether they're winning at all or not. Now the debate has shifted whether they're willing, whether they're going to win 370 or not. Remember, you just see the shift. So that is one. That's a ploy. That's a good ploy, of course. But the point is this: what I have been observing, especially after the breaking of this electoral bond scam, it is going very rapidly into the people. Now you might say, do they understand electoral bonds? My question is, did they understand 2G? They may not understand the nuances of it, the details of it, but then don't underestimate the wisdom of the Indian electorate. They now have a sense of, there is a huge amount of money that changed hands, and the government frantically tried to cover it up, tried to prevent it from coming out. This much is there, and the BJP, unlike earlier, it has lost control of the narrative now. It is
नहीं,
going.
but आप जो कह रहे हैं बात वो बहुत important है डॉक्टर परकला, and that is why I'm just slipping into my Hindi conversation with you कि आपने एक बहुत बड़ी बात कही. आपने कहा कि आज जो ग्राउंड सेंटिमेंट है वो मोदी जी के खिलाफ हो गया है. जो आम जनता है, जिसको इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स जैसी टेक्निकलिटी नहीं समझ में आती, लेकिन उस जनता को भी ये समझ में आने लगा है कि कहीं ना कहीं पैसे का बड़ा लेन देन हुआ है, जिसमें सरकार मिली हुई है और ये भ्रष्ट सरकार है.
And then they're also trying to cover it up.
Yes.
Yeah,
उसको
that's what.
छुपाने की कोशिश कर रही है सरकार. Exactly.
Yeah.
But Dr. Parkala, how far do you think that Modi will go with all this? I mean, there is no end to his confidence. We do not know where it stops. Who's going to really hold him accountable? If Supreme Court has not been able to stop him, I mean, what more or whom else do we expect that? I mean, does he look like an unstoppable force? He's not going to listen to anybody. I mean, look at the way recently the governments in Germany have reacted. Government in America has reacted to the blatant arrests which have happened, and the way the accounts of the Congress Party were frozen. Now, with all this, you have an external affairs minister who just dismisses everyone. He'll summon the chief de missions of the various countries, and he'll just set them free in 2-3 minutes after just smattering him. So this kind of an attitude which is worn by the government, how far will Modi go with this attitude?
Nilu, to me, a leader being confident or not being confident, it makes no difference for the result. You know, I've known so many leaders who are very confident until they lost the elections. Okay, so that is a completely irrelevant point. Just because somebody looks confident or comes across as confident doesn't mean that they're going to win, or if they're not confident, they're not going to win. It's not that. That is a completely different process, and this is a completely. I mean, people can are capable of living in their own paradise.
So
Their
you're
own.
saying that Modi is living in his own paradise right now?
They can live in their own make believe world. That is one. The second thing is that look at the way the government so far has not come up with a coherent defense of this, or the government's side, or the ruling party's
Yes.
side. That is another one. And and whatever little remarks that you get are these, that one, who will understand this? That is one. The second thing is, haven't the other political parties also taken? Now, the point is this: what is the USP of BJP for the last 10 years? Or even, even during, before also, LK Advani used to say, it's a party with a difference. They've claimed the moral high ground. The reason why UPA 2 was voted out of power was, a series of scandals. And there's India against corruption movement. And, because of that, people have chosen an alternative. That time, a very viable alternative it looked. And then, not only that, but they've also given a huge promises, like bringing back black money, doubling of farmers' incomes, and 2 crore jobs per annum. A series of things. Now, the government will be held accountable to all those promises. Now, one more thing you said is, so far they have not been punished. Are they likely to be punished now? That's the question that you've raised.
Yes.
There's always a last straw on the back of the camel. COVID did not punish them. Unemployment during that period or after that did not punish them. Rural distress did not punish them, because there is this, maybe we should give some kind of a benefit of doubt. They're doing something about Ram Temple, they're doing something about the civilizational thing, but ultimately the lived experience will come back to bite you. People are now, Nilu, the youth unemployment in this country is one of the highest in the world. We are 24%. We are in the company of countries like Iran, Yemen, Lebanon. These are the countries we are. And a small neighbor like Bangladesh has half of our youth unemployment. And youth unemployment headline is 24, but then if you look at it, people between the ages of 20 and 25, youth unemployment among them is 40%. And look at the price rise. I'm not
No,
talking
but
about
when you talk about these things, Dr. Parkala, the government starts glowing over the things that, look at the inflation figures. We've been able to control the inflation. Look at the GDP numbers which are coming in. So, they start putting up those statistics without talking about the realistic situation on the ground. There is unemployment, there is price rise, but the government seems to deny all of this.
the people are feeling it, Nilu. The government might deny it, but this is a lived experience. I'll give you two instances. Sometime in 2022, beginning January, February, the railways have advertised for 35,000 jobs, which is called non-technical jobs. For 35,000 jobs, there were 1 crore 25 lakh applicants. That is the intensity of youth unemployment or unemployment. Now, last fiscal, the entire budget for Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Employment Guarantee Act, Manrega, for the entire 1 year's allocation was exhausted in 6 months' time. So there's a lot of pressure. I mean, why would anybody go and ask for a minimum wage job? Because there are opportunities. Now, when the World Hunger Index was published, the government went hammer and tongs saying that this is anti-India. But then within days after that, the Prime Minister goes to announce free food grains ration to 82 crore people. It is an admission, isn't it? Now look at this GDP growth. Nilu, we are claiming to be the fastest growing economy. We are also claiming to be fifth largest economy. Now, fifth largest economy, we have overtaken the United Kingdom and become fifth largest economy. We've displaced United Kingdom. Now, do you agree? And most of all your viewers would agree that United Kingdom is a developed country. Now, if you have overcome and overtaken a developed country, what are you? What are you supposed to be? Aren't you supposed to be a developed country? Now, on the one hand, you claim that you've
But in your
displaced.
view, Dr. Parkala, Modi, wherever he goes, he starts talking about the 5 trillion economy, whether it is his election rallies, whether it is his abroad trip, this 5 trillion bogey which he raises in every rally, in every public meeting. Do you think he really understands economics? Why does he raise this 5 trillion bogey every time, whenever he's speaking on
I already
economy?
said this, Neelu, that this government is the most incompetent as far as the economy is concerned. This government and this regime is competent only in inciting hate and dividing people and othering of people, and you know is this competent only in creating an atmosphere where minorities feel that it is not they're not safe in this country. That is, look at what is happening in Manipur now. It's more than 10 months now. It is almost gone out of our public consciousness. The
Yes.
national consciousness doesn't have Manipur in its conversation now. um, don't think Manipur is just one off. If this government returns to power, if this party returns to power, Manipur like situation can come about in any state in India, probably one after the other, in all the states of India. And whatever dog whistles that you hear now, usko maro, इस देश में रहना है तो यही स्लोगन बोलना है, or jihad and economic boycott, uh, lynchings and
तो डॉक्टर परकल आपको याद होगा कि जब 2014 में मोदी जी आ रहे थे तो उन्होंने कहा था अच्छे दिन लेकर आएंगे। उन्होंने विकास प्रॉमिस किया था कि देखिए बहुत ज़्यादा पॉलिसी पैरालिसिस था यूपीए की सरकार में। तो अब हम एक नए शासन काल को हम जन्म देंगे। आज वो सारी चीज़ें बिल्कुल ऐसा लग रहा है कि वो केवल और केवल हिंदू राष्ट्र को बनाना चाह रहे हैं। क्या असली एजेंडा मोदी जी का 2014 से ही यही था, आपको लगता है? और विकास तो केवल एक दिखावा था।
हाँ, and this whole narrative of Vikas is just is just something to enter into it, enter into power. I remember very well as a prime ministerial candidate, he went on saying that the fight in India is not between Hindus and Muslims. It is between Hindus and Muslims on the one side and poverty and unemployment on the other side.
मैं आपको 2 सेकंड के लिए रोक रही हूँ क्योंकि आपने फिर से एक बहुत बड़ा न्यूज़ पॉइंट दिया है। आपने कहा है कि मोदी ने विकास को केवल अपना एक एंट्री पॉइंट माना है सत्ता में आने के लिए। Is that what you said?
And they have used Vikas, the slogan Vikas, only to smuggle themselves into power.
Right.
Somehow or the other they wanted to, because you see they did not want to reveal what their agenda is or what they set out to do. And initially, when they were unsure, They went on saying that it's an inclusive thing. It's Team India. Team India means Prime Minister and all the chief ministers of all the states, and whatever if you listen to his speeches from the Red Fort, initial first 2 years, he used to give credit to all the prime ministers who've gone by before. Now, actually, there are some people who are saying that among their supporters that India gained independence in 2014. Not even the tallest leader, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, anywhere figures in
No, but
their.
according to your assessment, Dr. Parkala, what do you think Modi is really planning? He's already dreaming that he will return to power for the third time. You yourself said that they have many things to hide. Nobody knows their real agenda. And there are all sorts of speculations. People have started talking. His own MPs say that, we'll try and finish the constitution, and we have to bring in the Manusmriti. All of this is happening. He doesn't speak, but his own MPs are, trying to spread out this kind of a narrative. So, what is the real intention, and what is going to be the final goal of Narendra Modi, according to you?
You see, if you look at it in the context, Neelu, 2025 is going to be the centenary year of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. By then, they want to be in power and fulfill the entire agenda of establishing the Hindu Rashtra, bringing back all those medieval kind of a laws and medieval kind of a value systems. Now, you see, you have the prime minister of a modern country saying that, we had plastic surgery even during, Mahabharata time or even earlier. And he goes on to say that how else would Ganesh come about? There must have been some plastic surgery in those days. That's what he said. And the scientific community clapped to it. This
Yes.
is what. Now, let me come back to the lived experience or lived experience of the people. Government might say that, they are controlling the prices and all that. But, sometime back, you remember, Neelu, just last month or a month before that, the government of India had come out with finance white paper. And somebody asked me about, what do you think of the white paper on finances? I said, look, I don't need the government to tell me or give me a white paper on finances. I get my white paper on the state of the economy every week when I go and buy my vegetables, and every month when I go and buy my ration and provisions. I'll give you an example. You see, uh, I'm not talking about, Jawaharlal Nehru and who. The comparison not between that. In November to 2023 and today, this month, when I bought, the dal was 110 in November 2023, and now it is 170. Now, who can come and tell me that there is no price rise? And jaggery was 42 in November 23, and now it is 50, or sometimes some in some mandis it's even 52. Sugar was 34, and now it is 42. And when I go to my vegetable market, when I buy green chilies, we eat a lot of green chilies in Andhra Pradesh. It was 65 in November, now it is 80 or 82. And ginger was 95 earlier in November 23. Now it is 120. So there is price rise. As I told you, lakhs and lakhs of people are
But what I
buying.
don't understand, Dr. Parkala, why is Modi so blind to it? And why are Modi's ministers also so blind? Or they all are seeing that there is price rise, there is resentment amongst the people, there are people who are crying for jobs, but they are so blind. They keep denying. And are they not conscious of the fact that somehow these things will hit them back? And
You
as you
know,
said, that this could be the last straw.
I cannot tell you why they are blind. One. The second thing is probably they are confident that the divisive issues,
That will work.
the othering, and you know the religious sentiments that they have been whipping up. They probably feel that these things will save them. That is what it's my guess. I do not know. It's my guess. But my feeling is that this time around, I think people have had enough. There is also, Neelu, there is what you call a Modi fatigue. अरे हो गया, बहुत बोल रहा है, कुछ करते नहीं. That kind of a thing has set in, and that is also growing, and especially
तो आप ये
after.
कह रहे हैं, मैं इसको हिंदी में बोल रही हूँ, आपने ये कहा कि मोदी से एक ऊब, एक थकान लोगों को हो गई है। आपने कहा कि मोदी की फटीग हो गई है लोगों को, और लोगों को अब ये लगने लगा है कि बहुत हो गया अब मोदी.
हाँ,
इज दैट? हाँ.
बहुत बोलता है, कुछ करता नहीं.
हाँ.
बहुत बोले हैं. 15 lakhs of rupees in every account and 2 crore jobs, doubling of farmers' incomes. Where are they? Except that he doesn't and look at the state of democracy, Neelu, and don't think that normal common people don't observe these things. You can you believe that over 140
बट डॉक्टर
members.
परकल, अब आप एक एग्जाम्पल के जरिए मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ कि अभी कांग्रेस के सारे अकाउंट्स को फ्रीज कर दिया गया. उसके बाद जो नैरेटिव मोदी सरकार बनाने की कोशिश कर रही थी वो ये थी कि भाई ये सारे भ्रष्टाचारी लोग हैं, इन्होंने इनकम टैक्स अपना पे नहीं किया. लेकिन वही सवाल जब बीजेपी से किया जाता है कि भाई पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज के ऊपर तो इनकम टैक्स का इस तरीके से कभी लागू नहीं होती थी चीजें, तो वो पूरा जो नैरेटिव है वो बदल देते हैं. वो उनको चोर बताते हैं, अपने आप को बिल्कुल पाक साफ बताते हैं. तो जब इस तरीके का जो इंफॉर्मेशन है जब व्हाट्सएप पे जाएगा, गोदी मीडिया पर जाएगा, गोदी मीडिया ही सारा ये प्रोपोगेट कर रहा है, तो फिर ये चीजें तो मोदी सरकार के ही फेवर में आएंगी ना. लोग कैसे समझेंगे? आज लोगों को झूठी इंफॉर्मेशन अगर व्हाट्सएप पे भेजी जा रही है, गलत सलत इंफॉर्मेशन कांग्रेस के बारे में, नेहरू के बारे में, इंदिरा गांधी के बारे में, तो लोग तो यही सोचेंगे कि देश का असली विलन तो कांग्रेस है.
That is the hope of BJP. But you see, once you say something, and if it is quite contrary to your lived experience, I'm not talking about Nehru, that they may not be very important. But my in my own home, 3 kids have no jobs. I can't really make my ends meet at the end of the month.
You were saying, allow me to interrupt you. You said that there are 3 kids in your family who don't
No,
have a job.
no, not me, not my
Right.
own family.
Okay. Otherwise, right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have 3 kids without jobs. You're not able to pay your rent. You're not able to. Every week that you go and buy something, the prices are going up. You expect like last week I'll buy something for 500, and then when you buy the same things like you bought last month, last week, and it costs you 600, 650. Your gas is up. Your petrol prices are up. These are lived experiences, Neelu. These lived experiences, when they're very, very different or contrary to what the government narrative is, what the government is trying to propagate, then that will only undermine the credibility of the government propaganda. And whoever talks about this, their credibility also will be undermined. That is what I'm trying to say.
But I mean, towards the last lap of our interview, Dr. Parkala, what do you think? How many seats is BJP really going to get? Can BJP be limited to less than 250 seats? What happens to Modi then? Will or there is all the possibility of him returning to power with full might? There are two probabilities: either he doesn't return or he returns with full might.
नीलू, भविष्यवाणी तो मैं बता नहीं सकता हूँ. I do not know. But the point I'm making is this, that if you keep looking at Modi versus who, then your prism is going to be different. But if you look at it, as Modi versus the people of India, or the BJP versus the people of India, it's not BJP versus another political party, Modi versus another leader, NDA Gathbandhan or other Gathbandhan versus other Gathbandhan. It's not that. It has come to a stage now, especially after the Modi gate, and the kind of Modi fatigue that is already very, very, very prevalent in the country. The point now is, it is Modi versus the rest of India. It's the people of India versus Modi. This is one. The second thing is, there are no inevitables in history. It is the human agency. What do we do? What do people do? That it depends on that. Now, if at all, by the outside chance, if this government and if this dispensation returns to power, I'm worried that we may not see another election in this country. One. And the kind of dog whistles that you hear now, lynching, marking of houses, and calling for economic boycott, these things, there will not be any more dog whistles, but these dog whistles will become open calls from the ramparts of Red Fort from next year onwards. That is the danger that is staring in the face of India.
So, what should the people do? What would you suggest to the people of India, millions of people who would be watching this interview? What you have to tell the people of India?
I think this government should be thrown out.
And what should Modi do, according to you?
Well, now, who am I to tell Modi what he should do? I think that's past the thing. I mean, it's over.
Right. So, one or two, some personal questions, one or two questions, and then I'm going to end the program. That when you criticize the Modi government, and people do know that your spouse is in the cabinet, you don't feel threatened. You are never told that why are you speaking against the government, or is there not some kind of a pressure on you, maybe from the ED, CBI, because you are commenting against them all the time?
Neelu, I do get some calls, anonymous calls. They talk nonsense, and of course there's some trolling on my social media timelines and all that. But I'm used to these things. It doesn't really bother me, so that's fine.
No, but you don't get that sort of a pressure that your own wife is a finance minister and you are speaking against the economy, you are speaking against the government line. You never told about these things from anybody within the government.
Uh, I think that's a bit out of syllabus.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having you on the program. Thank you, sir. Thank you.